My name is Sanjay Jenkins, and I am incredibly excited to introduce these two fine folks here with Sirge. The point of this conversation is really simple. Sirge has built a really cool product that's an AI growth consultant for your Shopify store. And I got to meet Chase in person a couple weeks ago. Goodness gracious, excuse me. I got to meet Chase in person a few weeks ago. And, you know, when he showed me the tool, I was like, holy cow, like this is actually a game changer. You know, at Replo, we're a landing page solution for Shopify, and we constantly want to make sure that we're giving our customers and our audience the best tools possible to grow their Shopify store, even if it isn't our own tool. So this is one of those moments. Sirge is a really killer tool. I'll let Chase and Nolan kind of open up about who they are and what they've built. If you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I will be monitoring the chat, and then I'll ask Chase and Nolan in real time. So feel free to drop that in. Chase, Nolan, I'll give it over to you.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. So founder Sirge, we started this a few years back. We just launched the platform, and we're really focusing in on Shopify stores, how to optimize their site, give them recommendations that a typical agency or consultant would, except automating it into, actual ad recommendations, email recommendations, website recommendations on things that can be applied to help a, growing Shopify store go from 10, 30, 40, 50 to 100K plus per month from applying these changes without having to have the big fees that they would normally pay somebody. So we've taken everything that we've done in the agency and consulting life and started to really package it all into Sirge, so that way people can get these insights at a low cost basis.
Chase, really quickly, talk about your agency experience, because you are agency person turned SaaS founder, and you didn't run like a small rinky-dink agency. You ran like a really killer shop. You still run it, right? So
yes,
tell us about that.
Still active.
Really quickly.
So started the agency about 7 years ago. We focus on Facebook, TikTok ads. We work with brands like 7-Eleven, Power Crunch Protein Bar, managing all their ad campaigns. And we're really focused on the data side of it. We're not big on, looking at our own opinions or giving our own personal view on things. It's really down in the nitty gritty of the actual ads. And we have about 4 case studies on Meta and are partnered with both Meta and TikTok and, advising over 200 million in ad spend. So we have a lot of, access to ad accounts, seeing what's working, what's not working, and being able to really analyze everything and catch trends before they happen. And that really led us to launching a software where, we're able to take all these insights, learn from what's not working in the space, what is, and build that out into Sirge.
One of the reasons why I wanted to call that out is, we talk to a lot of people starting SaaS, trying to figure out attribution, so on and so forth. And there is a huge spectrum in skill and actual quality of work in the agency space. And when you are building a platform like Sirge, you're trying to figure out attribution, and trying to make sure that, people have the right information in front of them, in one dashboard. It's important to have the background of actually having done it at the biggest scale possible. And that's one of the reasons why I find Sirge like such a great platform. I mean, you've built a really beautiful platform, but you also have done the work for a very long time at the highest level possible. And, for everyone watching, that's one of the things I can't stress enough. Like for me, this isn't just like a shill fest, right? Like this is, when I was running a brand myself, I wish I had a platform like Sirge, and that's the reason why we're doing this event at all. That's why we're bringing it to you, showing you how to use it. It's because we genuinely believe that this is something that's a net benefit to you, and it's coming from a place of real lived in experience. So with that, that was a lot of just me just glazing you guys. It is what it is.
No, I love it.
But with that, I'd love for you to start walking us through the tool and how people can start using Sirge to actually improve their Shopify stores.
Totally. Perfect. Yeah. So, here's the Sirge website. And one of the first things people can do is whenever they get here, they can actually submit their Shopify store URL here and be able to get a free audit. So if you were to type in your website and submit your email, we'll send over an audit. And what that audit actually consists of is, we actually go through and we score the site. So we cover design, aesthetics, the user experience, the overall creativity, your conversion rate, mobile, and give you a score so that way you can actually understand what ways you can improve. So our tool will go through and tell you what's working on your site, what are some of the negatives you can improve on, and actually get actions from here to start making adjustments to your website. So if you have, too many pop-ups showing up on your screen while people are viewing products, then that could, turn people away. Or if you don't have strong call to action buttons, or the size of them is not right. Or if you don't have a sticky header for easy navigation throughout the site when people are going and looking through different products, these are things that can definitely affect your conversion rate. So a lot of stores are, under the 3% mark, and getting up to a 3 to, all the way up to even 10% would make a huge difference in people's sales. Because if you're running ads or getting organic or any traffic to your site at all, and you're not converting at, a pretty consistent conversion rate, you're missing out on a lot of orders. Whereas if you were to double your conversion rate without actually increasing ad spend or doing anything else to getting more traffic, you're automatically going to start seeing more sales. And that just comes down to actually optimizing your overall site. So we break down, all these different pieces that you can actually do, from mobile to your homepage, give you examples like delaying the pop-up trigger if it's, showing up instantly, or simplifying your initial message for how to actually break down your offer, and giving more insights to be able to get people to convert. So this is an easy free tool that you can access and start getting insights on exactly what changes to make to your website.
You are the this is the first time I've seen like a dashboarding and attribution platform actually do like some CRO analysis. And when my like holy cow moment with this was, I put in some of my old client sites and it spit out some like really great insights that I wish I had implemented. But this is kind of crazy, and it's also like wild that if you have a site, you can go do this right now. So highly recommend you do it.
Yeah, no, it's super valuable because once you start covering, there's really a few things that go into a Shopify site to be able to scale. One is your conversion rate. The other way is the actual brand, and then you have the ads where you're actually driving traffic, the organic side, your email, your SMS, and we cover recommendations on all of these. And this is just the CRO piece of it. Once you actually sign up for Sirge and go into the dashboard, you'll be imported into the homepage where you can get an overview of your Shopify metrics that you'd normally see in Shopify, but you also get your blended ROAS across all platforms. And then there's ad recommendations here that you can actually start applying, whether it's website, CRO, emails, and even the economics of your business, like being able to calculate the break-even ROAS. A lot of people run ads and don't even know if they're profitable or not. They're getting a lot of clicks, add to carts, engagements. They might have purchases. They're seeing money come into their Shopify store, but they don't truly know how much money they're making back. So like one of the things you can do is calculate your break-even ROAS. And this will actually take you to a tool where you can input your AOVs, your cost of goods, your processing fees, the shipping fees, and actually know what your break-even is. So whenever you're running ads and you're running a purchase conversion campaign, if your break-even is a 1.58, then anything above that number is going to be profitable for you for your Shopify store. So therefore, you can scale more profitably, and you can actually adjust that metric inside your Sirge dashboard, and then it'll show you the ads that are not profitable, that are profitable. That way, you can turn off ads that aren't working or scale up the ones that are.
Couple things. First, something I forgot to mention on the CRO analysis that you do. The great part about everything that they output, you can actually build all that stuff in Replo. So like adding visual cues to draw attention to this, start customizing, you can make that bigger. You can do all the modification inside of Replo, which is like really lovely. The second thing that I want to call out is related to your profitability and your break even. A lot of people they typically fall into two buckets. There's the people that don't know it and don't know what their break even is, and are have like a really great break even ROAS of like 1.58 or even less than that. Like maybe they just need like a 1.2 or 1.1. And everything's fine and dandy. And then you have like the other bucket of people that don't know, what their break even ROAS is. And you need like you actually need like a 3x to scale or like to be profitable. Those are two fundamentally different businesses. So if you have not done this analysis yet, like please make use of this calculator as soon as possible, just because if you don't actually know the number, like you could either be running a really good business or a really bad business. And if your margins are not that great, like really work hard to get better margins. as soon as possible, so you can actually scale profitably without having to fight the meta machine.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And people might be thinking, okay, well, this is advanced. Like, I don't know these specific metrics, and maybe your break-even ROAS is much higher. So like Sirge will analyze your AOV because we directly connect with your actual Shopify store. So like whenever you go to, to set up the app, you can just install it directly on Sirge and your Shopify store, and we'll pull in all those metrics. And for instance, let's say your, break-even is at 3. Well, we'll be able to pull in your AOVs and know if you have a really low AOV, because that's one of the quickest ways to get your break-even ROAS down. So you might sell a product that's $24 or $30 and people are only buying one item. But if you have a clothing brand, if people are only buying one t-shirt, you're definitely missing out on a lot of things. So Sirge can analyze that and tell you, hey, you need bundles on your website. Here's a bundle app that you should use to increase your average order value. So that way you're getting people to buy packs of 3 shirts. And, here's another way of actually offering an upsell. So you should add an upsell app because you don't have one on your site. That'll increase your AOVs because now people are, adding an additional item to cart and checking out. So if your AOVs were able to go from 30 to 45, now you're down to a 1.8. And so it's much easier to start scaling your ads. So all these things are interconnected inside of Sirge, and we'll be able to give you those recommendations from the apps, the website, and even give you templates for your actual email series. A lot of people miss out on emails and don't have like a capture flow there, whether it's people adding to cart, missing out on that. So we'll be able to pick up on these things, scan your site, and actually give you recommendations. And there's even ways to get free credits from, TikTok, and how to actually lower your cost per purchase by leveraging different creative formats. So every day you can log in, get recommendations, and click on these things. And even if you're missing payment options, you can click on it. It'll take you to the dashboard inside your Shopify account, and you can add those additional payment options to get more insights.
The big elephant in the room, I'm sure, is like, okay, how does this stack up against a tool like Triple Whale, for example? And I'll let you answer that question, but before I hand it off to you, one of the things that I do want to call out is there is a level of depth and a set of resources that Sirge provides that I haven't seen anyone else do. And I'm not saying that just to say I have Triple Whale installed on several of my own stores, so it's like it is what it is. But I've never seen anyone like, here's like creative templates that you should be using. I've never seen a tool like this, say, hey, like here's how you should think about profitability. So again, when we talk about, why are we sharing this at all? There's a commitment to, the customer's growth that you guys have that we really resonate with, and that we want to like kind of piggyback on, because that's the game. So, hats off to you. And like, this is actually really, really, really dope. So, I will actually ask you the question, how do you personally think about how you stack up against Triple Whale?
Yeah, I think Triple Whale is a good platform, especially for the tracking side of things. We started out in the tracking space, but really what we realized is, to really grow a Shopify store, just looking at your numbers or trying to optimize your ads is only one slice of the pie. There's really a lot of things that go into growing a store. And so really pivoting into giving more value through actual core recommendations on, okay, hey, here's my data. I don't know what it means, or, okay, this ad might not be profitable, but, actually getting templates for what the creative styles are that you need to run that would get a much higher ROAS, or how do you increase your, overall conversion rate, or how to leverage AI product images to place on your website, because that's an easy way to increase your overall sales and conversion rate as well. So we're really focusing more on the full ecosystem of, Shopify brands, and giving them all the recommendations that they need beyond just the typical ads. Ad tracking is great. You can definitely use Triple Whale for that and have all those analytics. But if you want, core recommendations and actually get it from, knowledge source and years of experience of growing Shopify brands, where we're actually pulling in things that we know move the meter on sales, then this is going to be, a great tool, Sirge is, for being able to get your store to actually grow, and leveraging these different insights to be able to actually see the impact on your sales because of it.
That's awesome, man. Let's go deeper in the platform. Like, well, what are we going to look at next?
Totally. So you have the performance metrics where you can actually see all of your data, Facebook, TikTok, Google. You can see what campaigns are performing, get all your insights. You don't have to be bouncing between all your actual ad accounts. You can get the task for your ad recommendations here. And we have a automation set up to where whenever you start tracking all of your data inside of Sirge, we'll actually run a task where we'll analyze your data. And once you plug in your actual break-even ROAS, we'll be able to tell you, okay, this ad hasn't been profitable for over 7 days. We recommend turning it off. So we'll actually tell you which ads to turn off, just like we normally would at our agency or on the consulting side, and actually give you that as a notification to complete. So that way you can start optimizing your ads without having to spend so much time going through it. We'll actually call these out and highlight each of them and give you more ways to either turn off the ad, scale up one, scale down. So that way you can get a much better return on ad spend and be able to get more sales with your overall store. So you can go through all the tabs, see where all your ads are, and optimize inside of here. And then if you wanted to dive into, the customer journey side of it, you can, actually see the breakdown of conversion rates by your ad source. So if you're running Google ads or Facebook ads, and see what's converting best and be able to analyze, where your sales are actually coming from. If you're getting orders from Google, who are these, actual people? And you can track back the exact user journey that somebody took on Sirge and see exactly all the steps. Did they click on a Facebook ad first? Did they go to Google second? And actually see, which ads are performing? How long has this customer been with us? How many sales are they getting? And dive deeper in here. And this is one way to, analyze a specific customer, but you can get the overall view of where all these sources are coming from, even seeing which email newsletters are generating the sales. So if you have a lot of organic ads and different things running, this can be a good way to segment everything. And then you have post tracks. So if you work with influencers or make social media posts and you need to, do organic marketing, if you plug in all of the custom links that we have here on your Instagram, Facebook, social media bio, we'll be able to track the orders and sales that you're actually getting from, your social channels. So if somebody sees a Facebook ad, they click on your Instagram, they click on the bio and check out, we'll be able to not only tell you that they came from the ad, we can also say that they visited your organic page and checked out that way. Or if they saw a post and went and clicked the link. Or if you have, 10 to 15 different influencers, you can create a link and just say, if the person's name, and then you can type in the destination link and then send them this short link, and you'll be able to actually see how many orders they're getting from their Instagram story posts that they did about your brand. So you'll be able to independently track all those influencers as well.
Chase, I'm gonna pause you really quickly, and I'd love to go back to the at kind of the platform performance screen. So one of the questions that we got in the chat was like, someone's having trouble with their ad optimization and not able to exit the learning. So I'd love really quickly if you could talk about how you could use the data that Sirge is giving you to actually improve your ads.
So the learning thing is an interesting thing that everybody seems to bring up. Facebook's done a really good job of tapping into the emotional cues of everyone with that. The simplest thing for learning, being in the learning phases, is all you need is 25 to 50 purchases to exit learning. That's the simple factor of it. And if you're not even getting 25 to 50 conversions on your actual store, then in reality, it doesn't really matter if you exit learning. What matters is whenever you're about to get to 25 to 50 a week, then if you exit learning, you're basically going to see a lot more consistency in your sales. So you might have a $500 sales day, a $200 sales day, and then 3 days of literally no sales. And then all of a sudden you have a pop of 1,000. It's very unpredictable. And that's what the learning phase is like. But once you get to 25 to 50 conversions, what you should expect is, okay, we're doing 250 in sales to 300 sales daily. Like that's the range. It's just bouncing between those numbers. There's not much else going on, and it's much more consistent. So that's the simplest way to look at learning phase, is to not worry about it until you're almost at that 25 to 50 conversions. And then it's important to exit
per week, right?
Yeah, per week. And then you can get the consistency out of it.
If I was, just starting my store, what data should I be looking at inside of Sirge to get to that 50 conversions a week faster? Like, or do you just recommend it's like a budget?
The biggest thing is doing the actual recommendations, fixing your website. If you can get a higher conversion rate, you're going to get a much higher flow through of sales. That'll help you increase your conversions and orders from your Facebook, TikTok, and Google ads. If you're getting, 10 orders on Facebook and you double your conversion rate, you could very quickly get to 20 orders. And same thing with your email and SMS. If you're missing out on those things, if you start, setting up your add to cart returning customer flows or post-purchase welcome emails and getting people to buy again, that'll increase your overall sales. And then that's going to help your Facebook ad data. So all of these things, you want to think of this as a holistic, tool So you can use the analytics, you can use the performance for just tracking your data and making your own decisions. But the big value add is being able to actually apply what's being recommended, because those items can move the bar very quickly. Because you can sit in your Facebook ads all day and try to get an extra 2 cells, or adjust your audience, or adjust your ad by turning it off, and potentially see a little bit higher of a return ad spend. But the big bars that are moved are whenever you're making big decisions, like radically improving your entire product landing page and adding all of the key features that are going to make it convert much higher, redoing your entire email flow. We're setting up the 5 creative ad formats that we recommend that are like, product comparison ads, your founder's story. Those are big changes that have big outcomes that could very quickly take your store from doing 10 to 20K. And literally the very next month, you could be at 60 to 100K. It does make a huge difference, and it makes it way easier to scale with your ads. So we've given the tools to be able to do this on your own, but the recommendations gives you all of the insights that you normally don't think about and tell you, the actual reasons why you need to implement it to get higher sales revenue.
I appreciate the depth of that response. Could have been, a 2-sentence thing, but you actually went much deeper, and I'm really grateful for that. All right, what are we looking at next, man?
So we have audience segments. If you're wondering what retargeting audience to create, we'll pull in all of the data from your list, match it back to Facebook. We'll keep it dynamically updated. And then also, Facebook doesn't always give you a way to do static audiences. So if you have a really good retargeting audience that's converting very well for you, and you create a lookalike off of it, you can actually make it static and then expand that lookalike audience to be able to convert much higher rate. And we give you more audience breakdowns that you normally don't think about by actually segmenting out, who last purchased in the 30 days, or who are the customers from your, top % of highest AOVs. So if you create these segments, they'll actually send them into, you could do a dynamic one and send them all into Facebook, TikTok, Google, and keep them all updated simultaneously. Whereas you normally have to jump between every platform and set all these up independently. Whereas here, it'll set them up for all 3 of the platforms and then keep them updated, or just keep them static. And you can even do, more custom, breakdowns of your audiences here as well. So if you like going through and, adjusting these things, you can come up with a lot of different ways to build out custom audiences for your Facebook, TikTok, or Google ads.
Quick question. This is a little off topic from audience segmentation. First of all, pretty dope that you can do that dynamically. But the question in the chat is, if you have any recommendations on email marketing and SMS platforms, do you guys have a preferred partner, or you guys?
Yeah, so that's all. We have recommendations going out weekly, and we're turning these into tabs where you can actually click on, your website, email, ads, or whichever category you want to focus on. We'll actually recommend which category here pretty soon on where the biggest low-hanging fruit is. But with the emails, we'll be able to recommend the platform, get a better rate than what those platforms are charging, and then also give you a template for those email flows. So if you were to scroll down here, one of the email recommendations are, you could boost revenue by 30%, get the welcome email. We literally give you the template to download. You just download this. If you have Klaviyo, you upload this file into there, and then it gives you the exact template to be able to start using the email flow to capture sales. So we have those templates slowly built out in here and provide the exact way to set it up as well with all of the steps.
Is Klaviyo your usual go-to? I know it is.
Yeah,
still
you
is
can
for
use
me.
Klaviyo, Beehive. The main thing about an email marketing platform is really focusing on, the emails itself. A lot of them are the same thing. It really comes down to the copy, how you design your emails, what you're saying. And we have formats for the ads as well as the actual email. So we have an example for what's the first welcome email, what's a product announcement email whenever you're launching a new product, what is a, holiday campaign email look like, or an add to cart recovery email. So you don't have to worry about thinking of these on your own or building them out. These are already proven to drive higher conversions, and you can just plug in these templates immediately into your email marketing platform and start seeing the results.
That's awesome. I'm actually really glad that we asked that question, because I didn't know you guys did all that.
We constantly have more recommendations coming, and we'll even have industry specific ones. So this is something that's been worked on in the back end, is whenever you sign up from a specific industry, whether it's, fashion, beauty, food and beverage, we'll be able to analyze the site and give you actual app recommendations that are industry standard for those types of industries you're in.
Nice. All right. So we were talking about audience segments, right? Let's flip back over there if you could. Latest repeat shoppers, best customers. One of the things I've been talking about with a lot of like retention specialists lately is like trying to understand the definition of what a best customer is. Could you like spend 30 seconds talking a little bit more about how you guys define best customers?
Yeah. So in this case, it'd be, those who are spending the most amount with you and who have done the most frequent purchases. So if somebody's bought, multiple items from your store, they continue to return. That means they're loyal. They love the brand. They're an advocate. They've obviously spent a lot of money by, ordering a bunch of different items from your site. So being able to build an audience off of that exact segment can give you a much better audience to target, whether it's to a lookalike or just standard retargeting. Most people don't even retarget their customers, which is crazy because, if you think about big brands like Walmart, Amazon, like their entire business is literally dedicated on the fact that people return to those sites to buy, right? So you want people to come back, especially like Nike. If you think about, buying a t-shirt, most people own a bunch of different items of theirs and it's all through Nike. So you want to have a high returning customer rate. So you want to find people who fit that same profile as your best customer, people who have a tendency to become an advocate of a brand and spend months, weeks, constantly coming back to the site, making a purchase, and then even spreading the word on their own social media. So being able to target people who are similar to those is a huge way to, get a much higher quality individual coming to your site.
Can we go? This is something that's popping up in the chat right now, and it's worth talking since you brought it up. But like tactically using the segments that you create for retargeting, and like what kind of content should we be serving people? What's the ideal structure to make sure that we're like effectively retargeting folks? Or like
if you launch your retargeting audiences and start plugging them into the platforms, if we're talking about Facebook and TikTok for the actual creative side of it, one of the retargeting types of creatives you're going to want to leverage is one, having a carousel, which is just showing all your products. So that way, if people abandon cart, you can show them an item that they previously looked at. The other thing is taking all of your best performing ads. So if you go to your performance and you look at which ads have the highest purchases and the highest return on ad spend, you basically want to take those ads and place those in your retargeting because they're proven to convert. We want to show those ads to people who, backed out of checkout. So that way we can get them to move forward in the process. Maybe they saw an ad, they added a cart, they weren't fully convinced, but if you take a multitude of all your best performing creatives, drop them into your TikTok and Facebook retargeting audiences, and they start to see those other ads that, they didn't get the full description of what the product was or how it worked, it could then educate them a little bit more to want to move forward. So we have multiple different, ad formats that you want to leverage in retargeting to get higher conversions.
We can move on. That was if we have any more follow-up questions, we can either keep them in the chat or we can just follow up later. One of the questions that's actually pretty fun in the chat is, will there be a tutorial to show how to use 100% of search potential? Chase, I'm sure you guys have a bunch of content on how to get everything out of the platform.
Yeah, so there's trainings. You can go to our YouTube channel on Sirge. We're releasing videos there where you can actually get, insights. You can go to the, blogs, the help support, gain more insights on ways to leverage it. We're also going to be simplifying it over time. So as you go into the actual recommendations on this side, we're going to make it much easier and actually give you the step-by-step on how to implement a lot of these things too. So that way you can be able to do this much quicker and start executing on all these recommendations.
That's awesome.
And if you ever have any questions or want to get a demo, Nolan's on the call. You can literally just go here and actually book a time. So anytime you have a support issue, just literally feel free to schedule a call. We're happy to hop on a call and literally walk through or fix anything that you're having issues with. Or if you're running into a data performance issue or can't figure something out, we're available all the time to get on a call and go through it.
Incredible. What's next?
Yeah, so just some final things. If you have multiple Shopify stores, some people run multiple businesses or they're at an agency and they want to apply this across multiple different, brands that they're working with. You can, add in multiple stores and manage all of those different brands that you have. So that way you don't have to constantly bounce between all of them. So you can access everything in one place. And then you can integrate all your platforms. You'll definitely want to do that. Even if you're not running ads, it's just a good thing to have. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. And there's a lot of cool things in the pipeline that are, coming up as well.
Here's what we're going to do with some of the remaining time, because I am going to can make use of what we have. But first of all, I got to say, thank you so much for walking us through the platform, giving us a quick taste of of what everything Sirge can do. Again, like if I were to like have a couple sentences on why I think you should use this is like the growth sidekick that you need to have that's always working in your store to give you like real-time updates on like, hey, like we need to fix this or we need to do this better. One of the things I thought was the coolest thing when I first saw it of the platform is being able to actually like update like budgets across all your different ad platforms inside the Sirge dashboard without having to actually switch back over to like the Meta Ads Manager or like TikTok or whatever.
Saves time.
Yeah, it's huge, and like time's the name of the game. And the time that we have left, I mean, again, you've had like a really extensive career growing the largest brands in the world, and if you were to bring fire to the humans, like what's the game? Like what's like the if I'm trying to like scale my brand to 7, 8, 9 figures this year, what are the things that I should be prioritizing?
Find the bottlenecks. People get too focused on one specific metric and think that that is the end all be all to their success. Some people have incredible ads and they think if they just keep making it a little bit better, they're going to crack the code and it's going to take off. A lot of times, all of the big value unlocks are in the low hanging fruit and the things that you're not thinking about that you're missing. And most times people don't even realize what they are missing. They think their site is fully optimized, or they might think, they have the email flows, but they really only have 3. It's really the full picture and saying, okay, we're getting, a few thousand people to site. We're only converting, less than 1% of them. That should be a red flag immediately. Like, okay, we have the traffic. It's not an ad issue. We got to fix the website. Or we have a ton of add to carts. People love, they're starting to convert, but everybody's getting hung up in the add to cart phase. What is the issue there? Well, we don't have any email flows. We don't have any SMS flows. Implementing those immediately could lift your revenue so quickly. It's incredible to see how quick of a turnaround you can get. For instance, we had a store where somebody was doing, $65,000 a month. And within 30 days, they hit $850,000 per month.
Oh my
and
gosh.
That's just a 30-day, timeline. Not every store is going to have an insane jump like that, but it just goes to show one thing could be the, huge difference in unlocking the results. This person, keep in mind, was already getting a 6 to 10x ROAS, like an insane return on ad spend on their Facebook ads. They could scale that and get a lot more sales and grow linearly. But what they didn't have is they were not sending emails and they were missing out on, product drops. Like they literally were not announcing it to their previous customers, and the returning customer rate was at 50%. So we know 50% of all customers are returning. And if you have that kind of number, that basically tells us, well, we should be reaching out to all of your current customers over and over and over again. So built out the email flow, and literally every single time a product was released, it would be sent to the list and say that you can't get this anywhere else. Y'all are getting access to this first on private link through email. And their revenue jumped to 100K in a single day because we know people are checking on the site on their own time. Why not just tell them, hey, we just released it. You don't even have to, keep coming back. You can just buy right now. And so their sales went up to 100K. And then over the course of 3 days, they did about 75, 80K, in addition to that. And that's like 300 grand almost just in a 3-day time span. And then what we did was we scaled their ads dramatically and released those new products. Since the list already got access to them first, now we put them through the Facebook ads, and the ROAS, went insanely high. But most people don't think that way. They might just think, I got a good ROAS, let's scale.
Yeah.
It's a good decision, but one of them is a little bit longer of a pathway compared to the other. Sirge is going to basically tell you where are the bottlenecks and what are some of the big, movements you can make.
And one of the things I gotta like kind of call back to is the break even calculator, because you get like a 6x or 10x ROAS. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm God's gift to earth when it comes to meta ads. But the reality is like the biggest brands in the world are spending millions of dollars a day, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're operating at like a 1.01x.
That's very true.
And
very true.
They're profitable on that. And
Yep.
That's why understanding your margin structure is so important, and understanding what your true break even is, because if you're getting a 6, like that for me, the way that I interpret that, and I would love to hear if like you think the same way or if there's a better way to think about this. But for me, if I'm getting a 6, that means, okay, I can spend a crazy amount of money more until I hit my break even. And I'm going to my sales volume, the dollar velocity and the dollar volume is going to be so much bigger.
100%. Yeah. I mean, if you're getting a really high return on ad spend, it means that you could definitely scale a lot more. But when you scale, you'll start to hit a path where you'll see a diminished return. And the big brands understand stuff that, the smaller brands don't. It's that they can operate at a break even or even a below break even ROAS, but they're focusing on their LTV LTV metrics from the lifetime of their customer, because they know that if they get a customer to their site, that they have a high returning customer rate. They have all of the flows to, nurture people and get them to move forward over time. So they might be barely breaking even on the front end, but all those additional added carts they're getting, they know that their email flows are converting at a very high rate of, 30 to 40%. So that ends up factoring in, if you were to measure all of that data, they're probably really getting a much higher return, even though the front end of their Facebook, TikTok, or Google says otherwise. But on the back end, they understand the economics of, okay, we can get people to buy these other products. We can offer them these. We segmented all of our emails to best customers, to people who didn't purchase, to people who were a first-time customer, and giving them special offers and unique messaging to all, and being able to, really drive home the overall lifetime revenue factor. So it's, a big thing is to understand what you do after you acquire somebody. Acquiring a customer might be, the most expensive piece of it, but retaining and getting somebody to buy is one of the, lowest cost things you can do that can scale your store.
It's the 80-20, right? It's 20% of the work, but it's going to give you so much value over such a long period of time.
Huge value.
This is a fun question that comes up a lot. Are you like an interest-based targeting guy? Or are you fully broad on the campaigns that you're running?
Yeah.
You doing bid caps? Are you a bid cap bro?
I'm not glued to one specific thing. I just pay attention to what's working. We'll launch interest into testing. We'll launch lookalikes. We'll test it all. Every business is different. Every strategy is going to work differently. But, the main focus is like, what does change is when you're scaling. When you're looking at scale, there are known things that have to change. You can't have 100 different interests or 20 different interests. If you're going to be spending, upwards of 10 to 100K a month on ads, you have to start consolidating and moving into a broad audience. The audience sizes have to be much bigger. Your creatives have to appeal more broadly. You start out by being very specific because you need to find out where your market is and what creatives are going to work, and you have to appeal and get the traction going. But at scale, the strategy shifts. So you have to go more broad and, handle those things. And when you have big caps or cost caps and all those things, that's a part of the scaling process. You might switch to those. If you have all of your metrics dialed in, you know how much money you're making on every person you spend. Like, it only costs, you have to stay under $15 cost per purchase. That's going to be great to use those tools because you have the economics already factored in for everything else in your business. So, you can just, maximally scale at those, cost caps, right? So those things are great whenever you have the other things defined very easily in your business. So when you're just starting out, you definitely want to, do a lot of testing, identify what's working. And then once you understand where everything is and what's getting you the conversions, you can start to go much more broad and then have, set rules for how you do things.
This is something that like my personal, highest month of ad spend has been like 70K a month. I'm kind of curious to know what the difference is between spending like 100, or actually, I guess I've had a few stores that I've spent like 100 grand a month, but what's the difference between spending 100 grand a month and spending 100 grand a day? Like, what are you doing differently at that level of scale? Because at that point you're deep in the 8 figures, possibly in the 9 figures.
The things that people who are for instance, we have somebody who's spending 300K a day, and we have people who are spending 5 to 10K a day. And the biggest difference is that they've got their conversion rate figured out. They have their flows already working. They have that high conversion rate. What the ad structure looks like on their end is really just, a broad audience. There's no targeting. It's just completely open. They're not even worried about audience targeting at all. And usually it's just 1 or 2 audiences. They might have a retargeting, an open audience, maybe an advantage audience, and they might have a collection and a separate broad audience. There's really not much going on in the targeting. Everything is going down in the creatives. If you're spending more than 100K a month on ads, you probably have more than 100, active ads going. And you're probably releasing upwards of, 300 ads, every 60 to 90 days. On refresh, because you're reaching, likely 5 to 10 million people. So those ads will get fatigued very quickly. So you'll get a lot of, sales out of all those orders and see all these people converting through those ads. They'll have tons of engagement, but they have so many different creative formats, from testimonials, from the product images, special offers. They have so much segmentation in their ad creatives. They're letting Facebook, TikTok, and Google do the work on their algorithm. They're focusing on creative, production. It really turns into a creative, beast of just churning out content on a very high level and keeping everything very consistent across the brand. Because when you're reaching that many people, you want to make sure people remember the brand and they see lots of different angles, because that'll appeal to different segments of people automatically. So they usually have way more creatives.
Yeah, I've seen that firsthand. So one of our favorite customers at Replo is Hexclad. and they're deep in the 9 figures. And I did an event with Connor, who runs growth at HexCloud. He was talking about, he was probably dropping like 60 to like 100 new pieces of creative per week, which is wild. And then what's even crazier is that those pieces of creative were also mapped to like a bespoke landing page that they were generating. And it's fun because like I can go in and look at like all the different landing pages they're making. There's a real beauty in like ads done well, or like an ad funnel done well, because you've got the content in the ad, and then they'll match that content on the landing page as well.
Yep.
And to be able to like generate that at scale, it's like absolutely just, it
Yeah,
takes a lot of work.
Yeah, they usually have multiple PDP page, product display pages where it's a custom landing page that they've fully ironed out. They're getting an extremely high AOV and conversion rate because they know they can get people to buy this amount of items. And they've had all of the details ironed out on their actual, landing page. And they have a bunch of different ones, and they're doing a lot of A/B testing, because when you're spending that much money, think about what a 0.1% can do to your business. If you're, spending $1,000, you're really looking to get like, how can I triple my conversion rate to get the extra juice out of the sales? Whereas if you're spending $100K a month, you're like, how can I get a 0.1% improvement rate? Because that'll unlock, a few thousand more orders just alone.
That pays for someone's like 5 salaries,
Yeah. I mean, if you think about Amazon, they literally say if they can increase their, website load time by 0.1%, it's some ridiculous number. Y'all can fact check this, but it's, in the tens of millions, if not $100 million in sales, additional sales, a 0.1 second improvement. So
yeah,
that's what happens when you're at scale. 0.1s are the ones you're going for.
One of the things the chat mentioned, kind of reinforced by the fact that you have the logo painted on your wall back there, is finding scale on other channels. So like obviously Meta, still the goat of like, finding scale with ads. But like, what's your kind of history with YouTube ads and like scaling YouTube?
YouTube's great. I'd say it's, YouTube, Google are good after 80K months. You can start it earlier at a much lower spend. But when you have social channels, it's more of your top of funnel. You're bringing in a lot of traffic. You're bringing in a lot of awareness. Google's more intent-based. YouTube's more intent-based because they're specifically searching for a video, or they're specifically searching for a product or service. And whenever you have a lot of social ads going and you're doing about 80K months, you probably have a good amount of search traffic now. And there's a good way to actually start retargeting and leveraging ad creatives on Google and YouTube to be able to bring those people back into your funnel. And people are probably targeting your keywords and your brand name at that point, because you're now on the map. Usually around 80K, you'll start to see competitors trying to slice your, traffic and get people to go to theirs instead. So that's a good time to start combating that and being able to outbid them and, stay top of mind for when people search you up on, those channels, or if they're searching for a product specifically. That's a good, time frame to really start ramping up, because that could unlock, an additional 40K in sales at a very high return ad spend without having to figure out all the Google ad guru, tactics there.
That's awesome, man. Let's talk about the highlights of Sirge that we talked about today. Anything else you want to leave people with?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love these calls because I just get to like sit and like ask all the questions that I have and like want to learn. So
yeah, and everything we covered today, these are, recommendations that will be going out. So like if you install Sirge, it's free to install. You can get the free trial, integrate these things, and start applying these recommendations today. And very quickly, potentially see an additional 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 in sales, and have to spend no additional money doing it just by, building out these things. And so rather than going out today and trying to hire an agency and getting a false promise, or, trying to find somebody who can tell you the things that they've quote unquote learned, you can get these recommendations inside of a platform and even have our support team guide you through them if needed. So, you can sign up, Sirge.com, get these recommendations, start implementing them, and then leverage the other, tools and features we have to guide you through your ads.
It's great to have a tool that not only shows you what's happening, but also tells you what to do next. 99% of tools, and this is something we're trying to, make better at Replo ourselves. It's like, hey, here's the thing. And like, okay, what do you do with that thing? And, I'm personally like really energized about what Sirge is doing, just by nature of that. Like, here's this and go do that. Very few tools do that. So that's pretty baller. And, Chase, I gotta say, thank you. One, for putting this platform together. It's actually so dope. And two, taking the time to not only walk us through the platform today, but also answering all of our questions about, just growing an e-commerce store on Shopify in general. So
Absolutely. Thank you for hosting the event.
Yeah, of course, man. We'll definitely run this back soon.
And if anybody needs solid, website designs and some of these things we're talking about, go to Replo.
Yeah, that's right.
They do it great. They have thousands of people who are using it.
Yeah, we do. And templates to get you started, and a really easy way for you to implement all of the recommendations for site optimizations that Sirge
take the audit,
so,
go to Replo, implement it.
Yeah, it's the way to be. So when you start stacking all this stuff together, that's where the real magic is. Chase, before we jump, if you could leave the chat with one sentence, like the one line on like what to do next, like what would be the hot take?
Ask yourself what you don't know.
Yeah.
Look for the things that you do not know that you're missing. You might not know what it is, but you just need to search for it.
That's exactly what I was hoping you would get with this, like the spirit of it, at least. All right. Well, thank you so much. And to everyone watching, I appreciate you jumping on. If you have any other questions, feel free to email me directly. It's sanjay@replo.app. And, make sure to go to the Sirge website and get signed up ASAP. Appreciate you all, and we will see you soon.
Awesome. Cheers, everybody.